Hi Mariola, this is Cameron and Vanessa Knight.
Hi, Mariola.
Thank you so much for reaching out to us regarding your question of career and some difficulty and hangups that you might be feeling in exploring this new path. So to begin, what we're going to do for this reading is draw 3 cards, and we're just going to let those cards flow as we flesh out this question that you have.
The moon.
So the first card we have is the moon. And the moon is part of the major arcana of the tarot. And it symbolizes the unconscious. With regards to the unconscious in particular, it is an area or threshold of the self that we are not consciously familiar with, that if disrupted or feeling out of order or uncertain causes disrupts and hangups in our outer world, which is representative in insecurities, fear, lack of direction, not knowing what to do, and not feeling stable and safe. So some of the symbolism that we can see from this card is the 2 towers in the background. They represent that threshold that we have to cross emotionally before we become consciously aware of why we are doing what we're doing, why we fear what we fear, and why our movements kind of move about in ways that almost seem detached from us. That is because all of our behavior in certainty comes from an unconscious element within us. The little crawfish that you see creeping out of the water is representative of that becoming. It's coming out of that emotional water into the landscape around us. So this is calling you to the emotional world. Even though you're interested in job and in a career and something tangible, this is saying that before you get to that point, before you can really feel directionally oriented in that goal, those issues need to be brought forward. Do you have anything to add?
You said that so beautifully.
Okay.
You touched on everything I wanted to say.
Let's pull some other cards to kind of see what that may be, so you might have some direction on where to go in exploring that vast underbelly of the unconscious and emotional realm.
The Chariot.
The Chariot. I think that's a beautiful card.
That's a great card.
That serves the former card well. This is a card of balance. It's being able to properly balance the 2 worlds that we operate in singularly in this world, which is the emotional realm or the inner world and the outer world, and the importance of not neglecting either or the other. Some people are really good in this world, but they don't have that emotional stability, and others lack that inner, or have a very strong foundation in that inner world, but aren't able to articulate that in life itself. And if you don't have one without the other, even though you might be doing well for a time, it will become unbalanced. And do you want to add anything to that?
I agree that just the balancing is going to be so important moving forward. And I do believe that you're on your way to a synthesis, like my husband said, of the outer world and the inner world, which is going to propel you in whatever career you choose.
In the typical Rider-Waite deck, the tarot is seen adorned with the signs of the zodiac, with the stars about him. And what that is intended to call to mind for the reader is that this person is moving in alignment with the forces of life, with the forces of those higher cosmic powers. And it's also a call to arms to do that. So as you begin to find that balance, let life greet you in that regard. This is not something you necessarily need to do or to actively pursue, but rather establish a sense of being and comfortability in the state that you're presently in. Whatever it is, you know, in many ways, we are never where we want to be. We always want to get to that goal, and that can detach us from a sense of presentness, which paradoxically can keep us away from that very thing. And I think a big problem we have just collectively, but also individually, is not being able to see that where we are is exactly where we're supposed to be to garner and gather the lessons that we need in order to move to that next point, ever so slightly and ever so slightly again. But as we're doing it along the way, which we will always be doing on the way, we feel peace in knowing it's okay. I think we get caught up in the fact that sometimes we don't feel like we're happy right now, or we're, in the job we want right now, or this or that. But if you can feel the contentment that each moment is offering you that gift, you will feel that satisfaction. And so again, I would call to mind again the first card, which I feel like is going to be the theme of this reading, which is taking care of that emotional landscape, that inner world, and really, really asking yourself, what do I want to do? What is the vision that, not what I think I should do or what will get the most money right now, but what you really, really want to do, and how you can ingratiate yourself slowly in that direction. So with that said, let's draw.
I actually wanted to add too, I'm just being
please.
prompted to say, to not limit yourself or allow those weighted feelings to consume you, of feeling like you don't have direction with this career, but instead be very open to opportunities because they come in the strangest of places.
Yes.
And if you can be open to understanding that everything is a part of a greater process, then you might find that you can slowly enter into a state which is really just a mindset of opportunity versus lack.
I would say too, speaking of what Vanessa and I have done together, if you can go into an endeavor with one singular focused goal or word that can keep you stable and kind of have a sense of consistency in the fantastic array of like uncertainties that you're going to go into and unpredictable, unexpected courses, that can really give you an amazing anchor. Just to share personally with Vanessa and I, our big anchor word that we use, I don't know if I've ever said this, but I'm going to call it our anchor. But we say this in many ways, is Vanessa and I want to work together. We want to be together. My anchor word for us is together. And so that togetherness has brought us in all sorts of directions. Just to tell you a personal story, we sell magic wands under a bridge at the Portland Saturday Market. We like to do tarot readings. We're looking into mediation. We're doing all of these different things together unexpectedly. We did not plan on doing any of this, but because we have that rigidity of spirit when it comes to our one goal, we want to be together, that makes us even more flexible because we don't care what we do, or we don't care what strange kind of contortions come about in our life where we didn't see it coming, because that's not our concern. The financial aspect's not the concern. It's together. So if you can find that one kind of anchor word to hold you into what you want, whether it's, it could be a phrase, by the way, working with people, or you love animals, or you like food, or whatever it is, or you just want stillness and quiet, in work or career, that opens up so much more. But actually with a type of directing specificity, if that makes sense.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's so important. And I think a lot of times we are too hard on ourselves because we have this perception that what we need to obtain is just financial gain. So with that broad kind of categorical idea of what's necessary moving from job to job, or status even, like how are people going to perceive me, then I believe a lot of us end up failing in those careers or disliking those careers because it doesn't align with like a deep-seated resonance that we have to things that truly bring us joy and that will fulfill us to the point that we want to continue on that path.
Yes. I have a friend, well, he's kind of a friend, but he's also on YouTube that I watch. His name is Howdy. And I've corresponded with him for years because of his videos. And one video that he brought up that I just loved, I thought it was so wonderful, is it was on finding a career that really suits your disposition and your true desires. And one of the funny things that he ended up doing, well, I just think it's interesting, is he realized that being a janitor fit him so well. And he goes, it's such a seemingly lowly position, but he says, I love to live in my mind. I love to contemplate all day. I love listening to philosophy videos and listening to soft music and just being left alone from kind of the dynamic interplay of exchange between people. And he goes, I never realized how perfectly suited I am for janitorial work in that regard, because he goes, I don't even think I'm doing that. What I'm really doing is what I've just shared with you. I live inside this cathedral of the mind that I truly enjoy, and I get to be paid for that. And as to what my body is doing, it's of no importance to him. So that's just one example of doing something seemingly lowly in society's eyes, but highly fulfilling to a conscious person that is fully aware of what they want. So, but that's it.
Oh, there's so much more I can say.
Oh, say more! We're only 11 minutes in.
Yeah, with that said, discovering who you are and your truest self as a first step of the process of finding the career choice that will be best suited for you can be a really fun process. And one thing that my husband and I like to say is that our work comes from our play. And so far, that has been the correlating theme in our relationship all this time, is so much has manifested from that I would wish that upon anybody, but it really just requires that shift in mindset, that this is an opportunity for you to have fun with the uncertainty and not to look at it as, drab or negative. And so shifting that narrative would be highly beneficial for you right now, in order to avail yourself to opportunities that will be best suited, and I promise you, it's like a magic. It just like aligns with who you are once you discover what it is that you find a strength about yourself, and something that you could even improve on if the desire of your mind is to go into something that you've wanted to try, but you need a certain skill set in order to do that. Then it's really just a process of acquiring that skill set, but then in the beginning being very intentional with that, and then it will seem like it took no time at all. So just remember that everything is an opportunity, and the right one will align with you, but take that time to have some fun.
Yes, and I really feel like this process of life and this kind of initiatic path has a playful, almost sense of humor to it. And in some ways too, and this is not an accusation against you or anybody else, it's just how much potential we have. I think if we were to see the very end of our potentiality in sight, I don't think we could process it or even believe it, because there's so many steps of purification and change that have to go into play before we realize what we never could realize, which is maybe what our truest heart's desire is. And there's a playful fun into it. You might get into a job that seems like it's totally irrelevant at first to what you want. And then you're in the break room and you see some guy pull out some thing, whatever it is, a book or a thing, and you just go, what's that? And then he tells you about it, and that throws you down another path. And you go down the other path, which might have no relation yet to what you want, but it gives you another little piece, or you meet a new person. So don't assume whatever you're getting into that it is overtly for the reason you think.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
And nothing is permanent.
Yeah, and nothing is permanent, that's right.
Everything's always shifting. Okay, that was a great card.
That was great. Okay, here's our final one to kind of just wrap it together.
Oh, I love this
It's
card.
a great card. Don't freak out. It's the most misunderstood card in the deck. It is the Death card, which is another card for transition, rebirth, and
new beginnings.
New beginnings. One of our favorite phrases, we put it on our website on Etsy, you might have seen it, is every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. I can hardly say that phrase without singing that song. But. So don't be afraid to detach yourself from old patterns And from all of those stages to become, I have a hard time switching things. I get comfortable with something, I learn the magic and formula of that thing, and then you finally feel comfortable, and then life has you switch it again. And that's just kind of life. It's not a circle. I don't call it a circle, but more of a spiral. So we have these ever kind of reoccurring themes in our life that seem cyclical, but each one offers a new opportunity. And every once in a while, some of our shifts in life are so dynamic, they actually do require a full death, a full reworking of old formulas that once were life-giving that now no longer serve us. You know, there's times in our life where being open might be critical to expansion, but then other times where that could do the complete opposite. It can be destroying for one's goal. So you have to learn, you kind of have to take morality out of things, and instead of looking at things are good or evil, but rather like, is this serving this process, and not being afraid to let it go. And by letting it go, you're not throwing it away, but you're rather just putting it back into the bag of life and pulling out a new card, so to speak, or a new mode of being. That's why I love the tarot, because the tarot are all cards that represent a stage in our life. And even though they're all very different in disposition and quality, they each have a serviceable part in our development. And once we're done with the process, we can start again, and that's life.
That was beautifully said. I have goosebumps. I was excited to add that I'm really happy for you, because I believe you're going to have a leg up choosing your path of career. And it's because if you can choose to have that perception that we suffer many deaths in what hasn't served, or what served us in the past no longer serves us, in order to evolve your spirit and evolve in this life, then you're going to feel empowered, because you're up against a culture that has this very limited mindset of I am who I am. Like, you can't change me, nothing can change me. And so they're hoping that the world's going to adapt to them, but in fact we need to adapt to the world. And we need to realize that everything is ever evolving just as we are. And so we need to align with it, but also first align with ourselves, so that we can at least feel that resonance with whatever path of direction we're going in.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Well, even though we're at 18 minutes, if you have stuck around this far, we do like to pull an oracle card, which kind of serves the purpose that we kind of spoke of earlier, which is having like one word, one kind of anchor word to pull this whole reading together, and to give you a type of meditational direction on where you want to go. And I love the oracle cards for that reason, and so here we go. We'll have the messages for you, since you can't reach your hands.
Oh, the ego.
Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many times we get that card. We almost laugh about it. It goes perfect with our transformation card, and everything that we talked about. Don't be afraid to let go of who you think you are, what you think you like. That doesn't, and the direction you think you want to go. That doesn't mean that you need to be a, servant to everybody else's whims and wills. But at the same time, be flexible, and I think if we start our journey with a prayer, with a really good intention of protection, to send us forth into the world with a type of protective openness that whatever's going to come to us is supposed to come to us, and we will receive it and kind of allow it to guide us to the next point. I do think that there is a difference between that and just an open naivete of like, come what may. So have some openness, keep your wits about you, know your boundaries and all of that, but don't be so sure to put yourself in a box. I think we can be our own biggest threat, and this card calls to that.
I agree, and I think along with ego goes expectation. And so try not to have too many expectations going in, because you will be disappointed. and you don't want to enter into that cycle for yourself. So be open to learning, have compassion, mostly for yourself, but also for others, as entering into different business realms can be, you have conflicting personalities, and people you may misinterpret as against you, when in fact you could utilize that connection for, use them as an ally in that field. So I won't continue going on.
No, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of our longest reading to date.
But we're happy for you. Things are looking good.
But it felt intuitive, and I really do hope that this was helpful to you. And we always have fun doing these. So
thank you, Mariola.
thank you. Bye bye.